as I'll ever be.
That's good. Okay, take a nice deep breath. Let me go back there.
Okay.
We'll get this thing. Every one of you are going to go through the same little ritual we do, okay? So, tell me what your favorite 4-H project is.
Llamas.
Very good. Keep that volume. She'll tell you when to begin,
Okay.
okay?
Hi, my name is Mackenzie Schaefer. I'm from the Traintown Pikers 4-H Club, and today I'm going to be talking to you about llama showing. One class you can take when you're showing llamas is showmanship. Showmanship is where the judge judges how you show your animal. Before the show, it is very important for you to practice with your animal. I would practice walking your animal to make sure that they'll walk smoothly and calmly in the show ring. Studying questions is important for you, so you'll be able to answer the judge smoothly, calmly, and confidently. Quadrants is where you imagine your animal divided into fourths. When the judge is on the front side of your animal, you want to be on the opposite side of your animal. When the judge is on the back side of your animal, you want to be on the same side of your animal that the judge is on. Grooming is important to make your animal look well kept and healthy. We shear, wash, brush, and trim our animal's nails. In the ring, it is important to have confidence in yourself, your animal, and in what you're going to be doing in the ring. Have confidence in what you say to the judge and in what you do with your animal. Have eye contact with the judge to make sure that the judge knows that you're ready and you're listening. Watch the judge almost all the time so that you know where the judge is at. Be respectful of other contestants, yourself, your animal, and the judge all the time. That is a very important skill to have in all livestock and all things you do. Now it's time for the performance classes. First, you might take obstacle. Obstacle class is what you may encounter in your everyday skills with your animal. You may encounter jumps, bridges, backings, and steps, and that's just a few things you may encounter. Public relations is another thing you may encounter in obstacles or performance. Blow-up toys such as big decorations, small decorations, and even dancing people will be there. Loud noises will be there too, such as sirens, horns, and even just people talking. People may want to pet your animal in public relations class. This would be if you went to a nursing home, a school, or to a parade, and what you would do in that situation. Pack is basically like you put a backpack on your animal. It's if you were taking your animal on a hike. You may encounter deadfall, water, putting things in or on the pack. Now it's time for some of my favorite classes ever, the fun classes. In the fun classes, there's the costume contest, where you get to dress up your animal as anything you want. In the costume contest, you want to make sure that your animal has pretty coverage, and that your animal costume goes with your thing, and that they won't shake off or step on it. Leaping llama and limbo llama are basically how high and how low your animal and you can go. I love showing llamas, and I hope you enjoyed learning more about llama showing. Thank you.
go that way. Okay, Rob, tell me what your favorite part, you got a 4-H project you've already done, what is it?
Model tractor pull?
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Okay, she'll tell you when to begin, okay?
Hello, everyone. My name is Ram Srivatsa, and I'm new to 4-H. My parents were looking for ways to improve my communication skills because they thought that I needed to learn to communicate better, so they contacted my school counselor, who suggested 4-H to them. I soon learned that 4-H was more than public speaking. What projects do you want to do? My parents asked me. I chose model tractor pull and small engines. My mom and dad, they chose public speaking. The project I never chose. I learned that there are 3 steps to public speaking. Number 1, tell them what you're going to tell them. Number 2, tell them what you have to tell them. And number 3, tell them what you told them. Now I'll tell you 3 stories about when I had to communicate and get my point across in order to make the other person understand. The first story I'll tell you is about when I was trying to teach my sister magic squares. A magic square is a grid with the same number of rows and columns, and however you add it vertically or horizontally, you will always get the same number. For example, in a 3x3 magic square, however you add it vertically or horizontally, you will always get 15. I started by teaching her a 3x3 magic square, which is the easiest magic square. Did she get it the first time? No, she did not. So I kept trying to teach her again and again until she finally got it. I was very happy that I had finally succeeded in teaching her. The second story I'll tell you is about when we were deciding who would do what in the yearbook club. I was selected to be part of the yearbook club at school, which helps decide what goes in the yearbook and how it looks. In one meeting, we were deciding who would do what, and I volunteered to write the blurbs, which are short paragraphs or descriptions about an event or club. If I had not volunteered, then I might have gotten a different job that I didn't like as much. The last story I'll tell you is about when I was trying to convince my parents not to go to the swim meet. We went to the Carmel Clay Public Library to meet with our public speaking project leader, Mr. Phil Anderson, to discuss my speech. After our meeting, I was supposed to go to a swim meet, but I didn't want to go because I would miss my online science class. So I had to convince my parents to take me back home. If I had not convinced my parents, then I would have missed my online science class that I didn't want to miss for anything. These were 3 stories where I had to communicate and get my point across in order to make the other person understand. I learned that public speaking is not only about speaking, but also listening. I have a lot more to learn about public speaking, the project I never chose. Thank you.
So it's nice to do this project, and I've already been schooled by the audiovisual people that while they're on microphone, I have not been on microphone, and they're videotaping. It's like, we're not hearing a word you're saying. Now they can hear what I'm saying. I'm not sure that's as near as important as what these people are saying. So we'll get on with this, and we'll go to the next one. So just a moment. Okay, I have two questions for you. Number one is, what's your favorite project in 4-H, and how many? And the second one is, how many years have you been in? Not getting any volume. Hang on. Try that.
This is my first year in 4-H, and my favorite project so far is Halter.
I didn't think I was going to get that public speaking thing yet. So, okay, they'll tell you when to begin. Okay, you're up.
Hello, today my speech will be called Keeping Your Confidence. Today I'm going to share my experience with bullying and my experience with bullying. I will also be talking about my past year in bullying and how it affected my life. I will also be talking about how I overcame it. This past year, I was bullied a lot by some of the girls in my class. It was difficult to handle, and I tried never to believe what they said. They called me fat, ugly, weird, gross, strange, and odd. Eventually, I started to believe what they said, and that really hurt my confidence. I would have breakdowns that were uncontrollable and struggled with negative thinking about myself. After a while, I needed help dealing with my negative self-esteem. Thankfully, my parents and teachers helped so much. My school began doing friendship circles on how to guide us all how to be a good friend. Outside of school, I took counseling. That helped so much. A few things I learned from my experience are, when you hear someone talking about you or someone else, walk up to them and ask them to stop. Number 2, if they continue, ask an adult for help. Number 3, I cannot control others' behaviors, but I can control how I handle the situation. A few other ways I can handle myself and support other kids having a hard time with their peers include, number 1, I can be a friend to someone that is alone because everyone needs a friend and you don't know what anyone is going through. Number 2, I can give others grace and encourage forgiveness. Number 3, I can treat others with kindness even when my feelings are hurt. I hope that sharing my story will encourage other kids to get help and overcome bullying. I know that I am none of the names that I have been called, and now I speak the truth about myself and others because I understand that God makes no mistakes. He made me and you perfectly. Because of that, no one can steal my confidence or my joy. Thank you.
Okay, how many years you been in 4-H?
6 years plus 2 years in mini,
Been on this stage before, haven't you?
many times.
There you go. Okay, they'll tell you when to begin.
Hello, my name is Lucy Kaufman. I'm 14 years old and I just finished the 8th grade. And I love music. When I was around 4 years old, I begged my mom to let me play the piano. But my brother's music teacher told me that I was too young, so I had to wait. And then I got to play the piano, and it was amazing until I actually had to do work. I hate work. It was difficult having to learn tempos, how to stretch my hands out, and to make sure I know how to sight read. I hated it. Well, persevering through the hard work, I got to play recitals, and I adored being on the stage. I loved when people would give me a round of applause after I finished the piano. And I won awards. But as most of you know, most good things have to come to an end. My music teacher said that she could not work and teach us on the days that worked for us. So we had to graduate out of that and move on to a new music. Well, my brother decided to still do the piano, while I chose to do choir. And the teachers and directors were so fun. I loved learning the music theory for about 5 minutes. I still hate work. I got to sing, and singing on stage, the adrenaline rushing through you, having an audience look at you, with a spotlight on you, your choir. I loved it. Getting a round of applause afterwards was amazing. And with the confidence that I had built through 4-H public speaking and singing on stage, I got special opportunities such as speaking during the concert. And I auditioned for a solo, and I got the part. That is where I met my current music teacher. And she is amazing. But she makes me do work. She pushes me to my full potential to make me the best person that I can be. And I don't like it. It's hard hearing criticism of, you can do better. I know you're lazy right now. Come on, you can do it. It's difficult. Well, through her and the choir, I got an amazing opportunity. You see, there was a person who was writing a music for a movie, and he needed a child's voice. He asked my music teacher if there was anyone who could do it, and she recommended me. Now I get to say, after I auditioned, that I have sung in a movie. It's impressive, I know. But it was hard. I went through many different videos practicing and singing for my audition piece. And when I sang at the house where they recorded it, I had to go over and over. But it was fun because there was a cool microphone, so I was fine. So it's hard having discipline through your life, but you can create such a wonderful personality. Right now, I'm on stage, speaking confidently and happy that people are looking at me. And you can do that too. So, I know it's hard, but you can be a great person if you push through the hard times.
That's great. I think I have daughters that love the stage as much as you.
Are you sure about that?
Well, one's a professional. Yes. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Let her do her thing. Okay, so we're at the end of the junior division. We're going to let the judge kind of work through some things here, and then we'll, but go ahead and announce who we're going to, the order of the seniors. Half a word?
Thank you.
So just take a nice deep breath.
I know.
Which is not hard for you. You're good. And you know how the program works. All right. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so here's your question. Other than public speaking, what is your favorite 4-H project?
Other than public speaking, food preservation is my favorite 4-H project.
Right, great. Good voice. Good.
Whenever somebody asks me the question, what is your favorite book? I always freeze. Because how can I choose between all the amazing books that I have read in my life? Only until recently have I taken my passion for reading and my ability to read for granted. And I have read ever since I was of age 3. But now, looking back at my life, I've realized how much reading has come in handy. Not only have I been able to continue my education, but I've also been able to achieve things through 4-H and through being able to learn how to drive. But among other things, I've also recently learned a scary statistic about reading in Indiana. Out of all Hoosiers, only 81% of them are literate, leaving 19% of our fellow Hoosiers illiterate, which, to put that into perspective, is 1 in every 5 Hoosiers that do not know how to read. And when thinking about this and how much reading has impacted my life, I'd like to share some light and open an untold book that hasn't been read by many, but using the help of some of the favorites of my childhood. Let's first look at one of my favorite books, Wonder, by R.J. Palacio. And Wonder tells the story of a young boy named August and his struggles with his birth defect. And in the story of Wonder, it not only shines the light on August's struggles through beginning middle school, but it also shines the struggles on his struggles with his physical and his mental health. And throughout the book, this idea of struggle around health is widely focused and widely the pinpoint of all of the themes throughout the entire story. And when we look at our health in the real world, we can see how this is a large foundation for how we're going to live our lives, not only on how long we're expected to live, but the quality of life we're going to achieve. But when it comes to illiteracy, it's actually very hard to achieve a high quality of life because of how hard it is to communicate with doctors and nurses about how and what medical treatments you need. People who are illiterate are more likely to not be able to follow doctors' orders and not able to follow the prescriptions and the medications that doctors prescribe. If you are illiterate and you enter a hospital, you are 50% more likely to be hospitalized by the end of that visit, even if it is something as simple as a sore throat, because you are unable to follow the doctor's orders. But outside of just health, we must look at another iconic book from my childhood, Harry Potter. The Harry Potter series has got to be one of my top 10 favorite books, and through it, we all can recognize and relate to many of the themes. Through Harry and his two best friends fighting against Voldemort, we see a constant theme of good versus evil. And one of the high parts of the book, and one of the main stories that is told by J.K. Rowling, is that no villain is just born, but rather they're created. And this can apply to modern society as well, as we all know that criminals and those who get put in jail are not just created or born that way. Rather, they've had past experiences that have made them experience rough conditions in their life that have ended them up in these unfortunate situations. And reading is one of these unfortunate situations that can cause someone to end up in jail. In fact, if a group of fourth graders cannot read, 2/3 of them will end up in prison by the time, or after they reach the age of 18. And even with this, when you look at all the incarcerated individuals in the United States, 75% of them are illiterate. Think of what can change if only we encourage reading instead of other activities. But finally, I must end on another magical book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the ultimate rags to riches story, as it follows the life of young Charlie and his quest to find happiness in his life, starting with his humble beginnings. And it all begins with that magical golden ticket. However, in the real world, our golden tickets are not found in chocolate bars, but rather through hard work, perseverance, and in a large part, our education as well. But when it comes to illiteracy, this is also impacted. If by 3rd grade a child cannot read, they are 4 times more likely to drop out of their education before they reach college. And when you look at the number of people who live in poverty today, more than 50% of them are illiterate because they cannot continue their education and are very unlikely to continue their education on top of that to achieve a status of wealth that they may desire. When looking at reading and how it has touched my life, I can only imagine how it can touch others. Every time someone asks me if I have a favorite book, I guess it's not a bad thing that I don't have an answer, because any story can make an impact. It can not only improve someone's quality of life, but it can reduce the number of incarcerations in the world. And finally, it can help improve education and reduce poverty. Imagine a solution to save the world, to end poverty, and to do multiple of these other things that will overall help benefit our communities if only we can shine a light on this previously untold story.
Shut the sound off. You've graduated. So what's next on the horizon? Okay. It's not on.
Okay.
Why do you want to go into pre-vet?
I'm going into pre-vet because I've grown up showing animals, especially llamas, so I've spent a lot of time being around them and taking care of them, and I love doing it.
Okay, good. She'll tell you when to begin.
Okay. Through my 10 years of 4-H, I've learned many life skills, from making the best better to using my head, heart, hands, and health to make the world around me a better place. But nothing sums up what I have learned better than a simple quote. The crows would argue otherwise. This quote started as an assignment in my freshman English class, but has turned into an essential reminder for me as I began to shape my future as a leader. The Crows Would Argue Otherwise is a poem about a man that lives in a little town in the middle of the desert. Right outside the town, there's a large hill and a family of crows that lives on top of it. Each morning, the man climbs the hill to bring water to the crows, since there's hardly any water around. And every morning, the crows wait for the man. Once the man has brought the crows their water, he goes about his day just like any of us would. Some days, he has a great day at work. He gets a lot done, and he even has time to hang out with his friends afterwards. But other days, things do not go as planned. He'll get stuck on something at work, forget to bring his lunch, lose his favorite pen, and just come home, sad and defeated. On these days, the man felt as if he had not accomplished a single thing. However, the crows would argue otherwise, because even on these days, the man still helped the crows. He still did something. As I have learned what it means to be a leader in 4-H, I've always kept this quote in mind. Yes, it would be amazing to change the entire world, or even revolutionize the way we do 4-H. But there is no better feeling in the world than having one of the beginner 4-Hers run up to you and tell you how amazing they just did on their project, after you spent all year or even all week helping them reach their goals. There is nothing better than watching a little boy or little girl pump their fist after the judge comes and shakes their hand. And I have never felt better than when I get to help another kid find the same drive, passion, and love for 4-H as I have had. I've had some very difficult fairs. I've dealt with sick animals in a genealogy project that took me weeks to complete just to learn I had done the entire thing wrong. But through it all, I've had my own crows reminding me of why 4-H is so important, reminding all of us of why 4-H is so important. And the leadership 4-H teaches is much more than just older members and adults teaching the little kids. I've had firsthand experience with other seniors and adults making a difference in my own life. Just 3 years ago, I embarked on an almost impossible journey. I had always wanted a dog to show in 4-H, but I had never had a dog that was willing to or able to do it. But then, as luck would have it, just 3 years ago, my family adopted an Alaskan Malamute puppy. Now, if you know anything about Alaskan Malamutes, they are one of the most stubborn dogs in the world. They do not listen to anything. So when my new dog, Ziva, kind of sat on command, I was so excited. I signed up for the 4-H Dog Project and went to my first meeting. When I got there, none of the adults were entirely sure what to do with me and Ziva. Ziva, unlike many of the dogs in our class, was terrified of people. Anytime somebody came up to her, she'd get scared, run away, and hide behind me. She would not heel, she would not sit unless she was told about 10 times, and don't even get me started on trying to get her to lay down. But through it all, every one of the 4-H volunteers was there to help me. They would stay late after practice to talk to me about what I could do to work on things at home. They'd come early to help Ziva get used to being around people. I loved coming to the 4-H dog practices because I knew no matter what, there would be 4-H volunteers there ready to help me. Then the 4-H fair came and we competed. It was by far the best we had ever done. And guess what? When the placings came out, me and Ziva placed, well, we didn't place dead last. But through it all, because of the 4-H volunteers, I had never been more excited and more proud as Ziva. No matter what happened outside those Tuesday dog practices, all the 4-H volunteers came in ready to help every one of the kids, no matter what. In the poem, even though the crows wait for the man every day, they never thank him or show gratitude. They are not necessarily a beautiful bird that's lovely to watch fly through the little town, but the man still walks that hill every single morning. He simply does it out of kindness. 4-H is very similar. Every staff member, volunteer, and older member that goes above and beyond does not do it because they're making $500,000. They simply do it out of kindness. They understand how important 4-H is and what it can mean to so many kids. So if you are a staff member who has lost some of your motivation, or you are sitting there thinking about volunteering, or you're a senior who doesn't see what's fun about 4-H anymore, go to the project buildings when the buildings are first opening, or the show arena when a livestock's going on. Just sit there and watch. You will watch kids not only celebrate when they get grand champion, but when their goat finally walks, or they get their very first green honors ribbon. And then look around them. There will be parents who taught the kids to read the poster requirements so they get their very first blue ribbon. And there will be volunteers that taught the kids not only to shake the judge's hand, but to congratulate the kids standing both in front of them and behind them in the placings. And there will be seniors who taught the kids that not every project's going to work out and not every animal's going to behave, and was willing to give up their one free afternoon to teach those kids what the seniors had learned from seniors in the past. Every one of these parents, volunteers, and seniors will be standing around the kids, smiling just as big as the kids are, because whether they know it or not, every one of these parents, volunteers, and youth are living by the same simple quote: "The crows would argue otherwise."
I'm looking for that $250,000 thing. So Chloe, did you sign up for this project when you were first year, or did your parents?
I did,
You did?
yes.
Good job.
Thanks.
Good job.
Hello, everyone, and good morning. My name is Chloe Wilson. I'm in 10th grade, and today I'm going to be talking to you about what the 7 parts to a great speech are. To begin, I'd like to point out that there are many different types of speeches: informative, demonstrative, persuasive, and so forth. However, I think they all follow important steps in order to become great speeches. The first thing that is important for a great speech is practice. Now, you may hear this a lot, but it truly is important. If you practice your speech and memorize it, it shows that you practiced and care about your topic. The second point of reference is caring. If you really want to have a great speech, you have to care about your topic. Let's say I can't think of one, so I just choose something random. It's going to be obvious that I don't actually care about the subject at hand. Speak about something you actually think is interesting. This also means you have to show emotion about it. Smiling during your speech is important, as is showing other facial expressions. People are going to notice if you're talking about something with a bored look rather than actual sentiment. Third, know what you're talking about. If you're giving a speech and you want to give statistics, examples, or something in that area, you have to know what you're talking about. Yes, it takes time to research things, but in the long run, it's important that you know your actual facts rather than speaking about something you aren't completely sure is correct. Fourth, be prepared. When you're going to deliver a speech, you have to be ready for anything. Now, I'm not saying you have to be set to deliver your speech during a tornado, but it is good to be prepared. If your mic stopped working and something went wrong, it would look better if you didn't seem shocked when that happened. Sometimes mics cut in and out, so that's another thing to be prepared for. Always be ready for issues. Fifth, look the part. When you give a speech, you have to dress properly. If you're delivering a speech with a topic such as mine, you should wear a suit or a dress. If you're talking to a group of people about what it's like being a farmer, you should dress as a farmer would. My point is, in order to convey the image that you're knowledgeable, one important aspect in delivering a speech is how you dress. Proper attire is important. Sixth, listen to your voice. Using voice inflection is important. If you don't know what that is, it's the changing of the tone of your voice. For example, when you're giving a speech, you may have a deeper tone during an important part. People will notice if you're inflecting your voice because you will put emphasis on certain words. Also, be sure to listen to your talking speed. The more you practice your speech, the better you'll know it. The better you know your speech, the faster you'll talk. You need a good in-between. Talking this fast is not good. Talking this slow isn't good either. The pace I'm using right now is proper. Now, you may slow down your talking during parts of your speech to make a point, but don't keep it at that rate during most of it, only the important parts and only for a short period of time. Make the point to be loud. Perhaps you're a quiet person, but when you go to deliver a speech, you have to quite literally speak up. If you're talking this quietly, I'm less likely to listen to you than if you're talking this loudly. Now, don't start yelling during the speech, but don't whisper either. Seventh, be confident. It's really easy to worry about what's going to happen during your speech, and we can't stop the jitters completely. Being prepared helps a bit, and so does taking a deep breath before giving your speech. You wrote it. You haven't been given something brand new to talk about, and under the circumstance in which that somehow happened, which would be quite usual, it would still work out. Giving a speech is only talking, and you do that every day. Even if you're not at all confident, fake it. It looks better if you're confident rather than not. Great speeches should be very important to public speakers, so I hope you took something away from this. Remember to practice, care, be knowledgeable, prepare, look the part, listen to your voice, and be confident. These are the 7 steps to a great speech. Having a good speech is important, but having a great speech is necessary.
Yes.
So what's your non-4-H favorite subject?
Math.
Math.
Aye.
I've asked this of other people. I want more than a math. Why?
Because it's super easy.
Okay, we'll let you go with that.
Hi, my name is Charlie Kaufman. I'm 17 years old and in the 11th grade. As many young men my age are, I'm involved in many extracurricular activities. These include 4-H, Boy Scouts, and VEX, which is a robotics club. I am also involved in a sport, rugby. Some of you might be unaware of what this is. The rules can be confusing and complicated. That's okay, because I can spend the next 5 minutes talking about it to you. Popularized in the 19th century, rugby was invented when an English schoolboy, William Webb Ellis, picked up the soccer ball in the middle of a match and ran it down the field. Now, somehow, he got his school, other schools, and clubs to agree upon a rule set for this new sport, and rugby was born. Played between 2 teams of 15 players each on a 70 by 100 meter field, which is about a yard for my American audience. The goal is the same as it is in many other sports, to score more points than the other team at the end of the 60-minute match. The main way to do this is to score tries. These are awarded to the team if they can successfully carry the ball down the field and touch it to their opponent's try zone, which is located at the ends of the field. In addition to these 5 points, the scoring team also has an opportunity to kick a conversion between the posts for 2 points. The game starts with a kickoff from one team to the other. With the receiving team catching the ball, they try to run it down the field and score a try. The defense doesn't want this. They will try to stop this with a tackle. The ball carrier will try to evade this by either moving around the tackler or by passing the ball. This may only be done to the side or behind the player. After being tackled, anyone from either team is allowed to pick up the ball. The offense has an advantage, though, as the tackle player is allowed to place the ball behind him towards his team before releasing it. Although occasionally the offense immediately picks up the ball, provided that the defense hasn't reached it yet, the most common occurrence is to form a ruck. A ruck is when an offensive player steps over the tackled player in an attempt to shield the ball from the defense. This creates an offsides line, which the defense must now retreat behind or risk being penalized for being offsides. To resume play, the ball must be passed out from the ruck. This sequence of running, passing, tackling, and rucking happens over and over again until either the offense scores or the defense gets the ball, either through taking it from a tackled player or being awarded it through a penalty. There are two types of infractions of rugby law: a penalty and a dead ball. A penalty is a serious offense. For this, the innocent team gets to kick the ball as far as they can downfield, out of bounds. Where the ball goes out of bounds, that team is awarded a lineout. For a lineout, one of the offensive players gets to throw the ball inbounds, and up to 8 other players line up in front of him. The defense matches that number with their own players. Once the ball is thrown in, each team lifts up one of their teammates in an attempt to catch the ball before their other team does. The ball is passed out to the rest of the team, and rugby continues. The other kind of infringement is the dead ball, which is given for minor infractions. This results in a scrum, one of the most memorable parts of rugby, in which 8 players from each team combine together in a certain way to try to push the other team back. The ball is placed in the middle, and each team tries to push the other team back and rake the ball behind them. Once the ball is won, one of their teammates picks up the ball and runs with it. Rugby then continues. Rugby is a brutal and physically demanding sport with tackling, high impacts, and fast running. Despite this, with the players being exhausted and bruised up from all the tackling, and the aggressive nature of the game, the culture of rugby is quite wholesome. After the match, the teams meet up to shake hands and exchange compliments about the match. They then head off the field to share a meal and bond over food and their shared enjoyment of rugby. Another notable aspect about rugby is that anyone can play and be good at it. Some sports, such as soccer or tennis, require an athletic condition build. And other sports, such as football or wrestling, require a large, muscular build. However, for rugby, as long as you can catch and throw a ball, you can be good at it. For example, smaller people are able to evade tackles, and larger people can run through tackles. As long as you can catch and throw a ball, you can be good at rugby. In conclusion, rugby can be a confusing and complicated sport, but it can be boiled down into a few key concepts. I enjoy watching, playing, and refereeing rugby, and I'm glad I got to share that enjoyment with you today.
Now I'm having a hard time visualizing. Great match. Thanks for the fat lip. But this has been fun. So without just saying yes, tell me that you'll be glad this is over in about 5 to 7 minutes.
Very much so. If you are over 5 feet tall, this might be a stretch, but try to imagine with me this classic 4-H scene. Parents trying to teach their young 4-H'er how to trim the hooves of a pygmy goat. You, the young 4-H'er who has been kicked enough times by a goat to not really want to do this. Sure, you're okay with feeding, watering, deworming, and cleaning their pens, but shouldn't just the vets or the adults deal with this? The reality of 4-H is you don't just get to do the fun stuff, but you also must learn how to push ahead and challenge yourself when things get too scary or you just flat out don't want to do it. Trimming goat hoofs can be scary. They kick, they headbutt, and they just generally try to get away from you. I tried to explain I was too young, too weak, too small. Anything I could grasp at to get out of learning this task. But now that I can, I'm very proud of myself, and I can better take care of my animals. That's the point of 4-H. Learning by doing, not just watching others do it for you. Goats, like most hoofed animals, needs their hoofs trimmed. And like most, they won't enjoy the process. Animals with hooves, also known as ungulates, have very strong legs. This paired with the hoof can lead to some slightly annoying injuries, such as broken bones and even blindness. Some people enjoy this process, but for me, as a shorter person, it's always scared me. Just like a pair of poorly fitting shoes. If a goat's hooves aren't properly taken care of, it can cause extreme levels of discomfort and make it hard for your goats to walk. Different animals have different growth rates, but for a pygmy goat, it's roughly every 6 to 8 weeks. Besides just being uncomfortable, overgrown hooves can lead to a myriad of injuries, such as when they walk, it will cause them to walk on the balls of their feet, leading to their tendon being stretched, which can cause lameness. It can also put an extra pressure on the ankle and knee. It can even lead to a myriad of infections such as foot rot if things get stuck under the overgrown hoof. Wait, why don't wild goats have this issue? And you're right. Because in the wild, goats play almost all day and run over rough terrain. Farms and pastures just don't have the room or materials to provide this for them. So we have to give them an extra hand or clippers. But let's go back to explaining trimming. When trimming, you'll need either a left or right-handed pair of straight clippers. The most important part is how to restrain them, because as I said before, they're not going to cooperate. I know this for a fact. You've probably heard the saying, teamwork makes the dream work. Well, in this case, teamwork makes sure you don't get hurt. You can use someone to hold them around the neck or the body, and you can have them display treats, they're being good, and 2, it distracts them. Or if you don't have someone else to help you, or you just want to be slightly safer, you can use something called a milking stand. As the name suggests, it's used for milking normally. It's a wooden or metal stand that has a piece that closes roughly around the neck in an oval formation. This keeps their head back and forward, so that way they can't thrash around. It also has a bucket of food based, so that way, again, they don't try to get away from you. People always say, bribery is not the answer. When it comes to animals, it sure is, because then it's your best friend. To start trimming, grab one of their feet with your non-dominant hand and bend it backwards.
Make sure you have a good look at the sole of their foot. Start by clearing away any dirt or other debris that might be caught in it. This way you can see the sole and the walls of their hoof. For the final product, you're going to want the hoof to be roughly parallel with the fur at the base of their hoof. Of course, depending on the goat, this can be slightly different because they're not all carbon copies. Lay the clippers flat at the top of the hoof, meaning the flatter part, and start cutting downwards following the contour. If you go too far, you might see pink. This means you might injure the hoof because normally hoofs don't have nerves in it, which is why we're able to cut them in the first place. But if you go too far and see pink, this might mean you're about to hit blood vessels, and that will not go well for you or your goat. 4-Hers know that raising animals is fun. It's not always fun. Just a little over a year ago, an amazing goat named Lola gave birth to 2 beautiful baby goats that were born on my birthday. It was the best present that I could have asked for. One of them even has my name as their middle name. Speaking of that same goat, only less than a week ago, she gave birth to 2 beautiful baby goats as well, named Ons and Guy. Don't ask me why they're named that. I don't remember. Of course, this increases my trimming schedule and workload, but nope, that's fine. This is why 4-H is so valuable to kids. Learning by doing. Getting off the couch, putting down the video games, and learning to help animals. It's tough, it's taxing, it's educational, and it can even be fun. Will I grow up to be a goat farmer? Probably not. Will I grow up to most likely need this? Also no. But 4-H taught me was to not give up when things get challenging or if I just don't like something. That is a skill I'll use for the rest of my life. Thank you.
For all the contestants, breathe. Okay, this is all over. All right, that's a good thing. I will say there are thousands of 4-Hers out on the grounds today, and you're the ones who had enough guts to stand up in front of people and give a speech. And I'll tell you, there are people who would do the hands thing. There are people, if you ask them the scariest things in their life, they'll talk about death, weird encounters with animals and insects. Of course, we just heard about the goat thing. But the last one is public speaking. Horrified of having to get in front of a group of people. Put our hands together, everybody here. This is great. I'm going to introduce somebody here in just a minute, so I'm giving her a heads up. Because I was remiss in not putting the microphone on at the beginning when I made the announcements, and they're recording this, I'm going to do this really quickly. And that is, I'm the project leader. My name is Phil Anderson. My colleague here helping me is Jane Sipe. We are both on the Extension Board. I'm also the project leader for this, and our judge is Heather Buck, and she'll talk to you all in just a little bit here. Okay, so, right here. All right, we are fortunate to have a member of our Queen's Court here today, and she has also stepped on this stage. Of course, I did scold her because she didn't continue stepping on this stage, but she has stepped on this stage and done public speaking before, and so Lucy is going to tell you, and Mary. Here, it's your microphone, not mine anymore. This is what happens when you have lots of families that go through all this stuff and you get all the names confused.
I am Mary Rose Wansiedler, and I am your first runner-up. I also want to take this moment to thank all our volunteers for making this fair run so smoothly and have been invested so much in all the 4-H'ers. Thank you.
So tell them what else is coming on. What's happening at the fair you're going to do there?
Let's see. I am going to be staying here for a demonstration, and then I am also going to be headed to the pig show, and I think there's a cat show at 5. So
And what's been the best part of the fair so far?
seeing all the young 4-H'ers and just having their face light up when they have succeeded in presenting their animals and projects.
I asked you what was the most unusual thing you've done here so far with the court. What was that?
I would say watching the cow fitting, which is where it is a timed event where people have to get their cows ready for the show. That would be the most interesting. It was very fun.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll do them right down here. Okay? I'm trying to figure out when you start introducing the older members of the family instead of the ones you're actually talking to, if maybe I should quit being the project leader. At least that's my excuse, because you remember you all looking for excuses why you didn't have to do this stuff? That's mine. All right? So I'm going to I'll check with him and see how we're doing on this. They're still calculating. Oh, a couple things I want to tell you. Been talking about this for a few years, and here's where we are going to make a major change, hopefully in the program this winter. For demonstration and public speaking, like all 4-H projects, we're now competing against sports year-round. We're competing against all of the kinds of things year-round. We're going to have to step our game up and make some changes. Here's what I'm working on in my head right now. I've talked to some different colleagues. What are the ways in which you now have to do communications? And there's a variety of them. One is we see people not only making presentations, but there are all kinds of places where awards are given. Awards are usually presented horribly because no one knows what to do with the award, do with their hands, how to look at the camera, all these things. We're going to teach you how to do that. We're going to teach you how to introduce a speaker. Years ago, I was trying to do this because I speak for a living, and I had prepared a bio that was usable by any audience. The idea was pick what is appropriate to you. Don't read it all, ever. Came to a meeting at the Hamilton County Fairgrounds, and the guy read the entire page. He got done, I said, I was in Little League when I was 12. That was the only thing that wasn't on the introduction. It's like, we didn't need to cover all this. So now, we're going to teach you how to do that. We're going to teach you how to do radio interviews. You don't give them, you get them. You get to be interviewed. How do you respond to that? There's a way to do that. TV interviews, they're different. They're looking for sound bites they can use because they'll edit. Podcasting is new. So there's all kinds of things. And additionally, in the 4-H project, there's public speaking. There's the how-to demonstration. There's the kind of professional presentation demonstration, and then there's a 4-H informative. Most of the 4-Hers look at me and go, I don't know what that is. Nobody knows what that is. I don't know how to do it. We're going to show you what all those are, okay? May even call on some former 4-Hers and some other people, and I've even got a broadcaster, retired broadcaster, who said, oh, I'd be happy to do the broadcast, the interviewing part. So that's what we're going to try to do. It's going to be in a series of workshops through the winter, so you don't have to worry about getting ready for the fair other than what we've heard today, practicing your presentation. All the other work you have to do in the project will all be done before we ever hit springtime. Okay, that's the idea. That's what we're shooting for. So, kind of stay tuned for that. If you have people say, well, I can't do that because I'm in the show, something going on at the fairgrounds today, they can still be in the project, they can still come to the workshops, they can still get those experiences even if they can't walk on the stage. Okay? So that's what's coming. That's what we're working on, trying to get excited about it. We hope others will get excited about it, and maybe we could keep Mary Rose, could have kept her in it. Thanks. Sorry about screwing up your name. Okay. So I think we're close here. The other thing I would say is we have some former 4-H project enrollees in the room, and they've done well. We even have a 49 public speaking winner, 53 4-H state public speaking winner in the room. Okay, so look at that. And he's done kids and grandkids and everybody through. So it's all part of what we do. And we always get these comments from children and grandchildren go, I hated doing that. I am so glad I did that throughout their lives. So that's all part of what we do, and that's why we do it. It's not for the moment. It's for the lifetime of experience that will make it a lot easier to do. So Heather, you want to talk to them before we do the announcements? Sure. Okay. We're not going to have everybody come up on stage. We're going to do that down there, but I'm going to let Heather talk, and I got to give you this mic.
Do I need it, or do you just want me to?
No, you have to because they're recording the. Yeah, you're fine. Don't be nervous. Here, turn around here. Let's do this. Okay, take a deep breath. Yeah.
My favorite project was wallpaper. No, I'm just... So I'm very hesitant to be on the microphone because I generally have a bellowy voice, and so everybody's like, whoa. So thank you, all the participants. Thank you, all of the adults, the siblings, the neighbors, the goats, everyone that heard all of the presentations 47 times. But I think that that's truly what it takes. On my comment sheets, I very much tried to write legibly. I apologize in advance. So if there are any questions, I will stick around for a few minutes afterwards. I'm very happy to talk to you individually. What I will say, though, that probably applies to everyone is, as you know, this room is this room. If you tried to do your presentation anywhere else, you might have people walking in and out. You might have a baby crying, a dog barking, a cow mooing, a fan going on and off. So be ready to really engage the core and bellow, right? You might also only have 3 people who then move to the front room or front row, so you might have to tone it down a bit. So be ready. Also, make the stage movements natural. Some of what I've seen, and not necessarily today, so in general, if you're going to put movement into your presentation, a lot of folks will say on the word excitement, they move to the middle. And then they start like this. It's almost like a fashion show, right? And then they do this, and then they start. So just make your movements natural. Make your hand movements natural. Make your facial expressions natural. And that only way that that's going to come is over and over and over and over again until everyone else has your presentation memorized and can say it with you, right? I think you all did a phenomenal job. I could tell only because I was looking for it when the nerves started to creep up, but I think you all did an excellent job of swallowing it down. You took a little breath, right? Put in that little pregnant pause, which was great. Everybody did great at enunciations. The most important thing that I will say today is if you came back in an hour and did your presentation, you would do it a little differently. If there was a different judge here today, the results might differ, right? This is not the end of the world. This may be the beginning of your public speaking career, but this is certainly not the end of the world, right? Take the ribbon, be excited, and go about and have a great fair, okay? So just be, and I certainly hope that most of you come back next year at this competition or presentation or whatever you want to call it, but also encourage 3 or 4 of the same kids that are in the club to come with you because you made it out. Nobody threw things at you, I don't think. Nobody made funny faces, and if they did, maybe it helped you, right? So encourage others. take your presentation and do it at your next club meeting when, you start back up at the school year, and show them that it's not that hard. Okay? Those would be my suggestions. Again, I still work through this too. I make the butterflies fly in formation. Sometimes you have to get a little crazier than that even. So just do what you have to do. You're never going to get out of public speaking. Whether it's 4 people, 10 people, 100 people. And sometimes you never know if it's going to be 4 or 100. So you just have to be ready. So if you have questions once you get your paper back, let me know. I can try to read what I wrote or explain what I meant, right? But again, I think that all the participants deserve a round of applause. I think that all the grown-ups and the siblings and the friends deserve a round of applause. So clap for everyone before we even get started, and then I'm going to hand this back to Phil.
Thank you. And now that your hands are warmed up, I want you to put your hands together for our judge, Heather Buck. So we send 3 on to State Fair.
This is that pregnant pause.
Okay, one quick thing, and then I'm going to turn it over to Jane, and Jane will present, and Mary Rose will present the awards. You may be familiar with plaques, but this year they have opted to go away from plaques. So now we have banners. We have small banners. We have large banners. And so we're about to pass those out with all the ribbons, but I'm going to let Jane and Mary Rose take care of this and handle the award presentation. So Jane.
Thank you so much to Phil for letting me be involved. I am so amazed by each one of you every time, and I'm enjoying watching you grow up through the project. I know Phil's used to that, but get to see you repeaters back. And I just love you all for doing this. This is wonderful. Congratulations on all your accomplishments. This will serve you well through your whole entire life. Okay, so we'll start with the junior division, and with the blue honor is Darby Lunsford. And also with the blue honor is Ram Shrivalsa. And then our reserve champion in the junior division is Mackenzie Schaefer. And our champion in the junior division is Lucy Kaufman. Congratulations to all of you. Okay, in our senior division with the blue honor is Chloe Wilson. Also with the blue honor is Sophia Onan. Sorry, Mary Rose. Also with the blue honor is Charlie Kaufman. Reserve champion and a 10-year member, McKinley Underhill. And then our champion in the senior division of public speaking is Sophia Beeson. Okay, so now we have a reserve grand champion and a grand champion, and our reserve grand champion is Lucy Kaufman. And our grand champion is Sophia Beeson. Okay, we're going to have an announcement on the participants who are going to be eligible for State Fair. And if you are eligible, you need to talk to Phil Anderson afterwards.
One quick thing, and what we'll do is we'll tell you what the date of the contest. We have no control over that. So if you're if you're one of the top 3 and are eligible to go in either senior or junior, but that's not possible, and because of commitments you have, we will have another member. We'll talk about it, but we'll make sure another member has the eligibility to go because you've all earned. You've all excelled in the project, but we have the ability to send 3 on to the state. And in the senior division, those are eligible for the State Fair Achievement Trip Award. So, okay? So we'll talk to you afterwards, but we'll get those announced, and I think that's it, okay? They can come and see me. So here, she's going to announce who are the 3 that are eligible to go on to State Fair.
Okay, in the junior division, eligible for the State Fair is Lucy Kaufman, Mackenzie Schaefer, and Ram Shrivalsa. In the senior division, Sophia Beeson, McKinley Underhill, and Charlie Kaufman. Congratulations.
Okay. Now you get to give all your kudos to all of them. Thank you, congratulations. Thanks for being in the project. Love working with you all, okay? All right, thanks. Good job.